Thanks again for following up on the series. In today's video, I'm going to show you again why data-driven is the only way you can make consistently good business decisions. I want to stress this again and again until it becomes crystal clear without doubt to you that data-driven is the right path to truth. I don't want you to hear about my talk and thinking, yes, data-driven sounds good. And then tomorrow you'll see another lecture about artificial intelligence and you think we should be AI driven. And the day after next, you hear a lecture about human resource management, and you think your company has to be human driven, right, or people driven. So I want to prove to you that data driven is the absolutely most practical path for you to make good business decisions. So some words about myself. My name is Xiaolu. I'm a data expert in the field of decision making. I'm going to teach you the whole information I get through different projects for free. In today's video, we're going to look at how actually people make decisions on the different scenarios and what are the mindsets behind it. So don't skip the theoretical questions because if you don't get these basics right, you cannot get the projects right. So let's dive deep into different scenarios. So actually, how do people make decisions? This is a very interesting question and is company dependent. But I have basically summarized this different kind of scenario I have met personally. So first of all, I go through a lot of startups. So in startup, you have very few stakeholders. You wear a lot of hats, and usually these big decisions, like what kind of product, is solely decided by the CEO or the founder. Basically, what they believe is that they have a product or service that the market needs, and they basically build their whole company around his idea. And the second scenario is like in bigger companies, the decision always have to go through a group of people. Sometimes it is the different stakeholders. Sometimes it's a board of directors. Sometimes it's investors. They have to explain their idea, their analysis behind it through some PowerPoint, and try to convince the other side of the listeners. And if the company was separate into different teams who have different responsibilities, if a decision involved more than two teams, they always have this cross-team meetings to basically bring people on the same page. The other kind of company where they are very service-driven, they rely on the customer feedback a lot. They treat customer feedback very seriously, and sometimes they use the feedback as the first motivation and the direction of the future product development. A committee is most likely seen in government that you have a lot of representatives. It's basically go through different debates, and hopefully they kind of reach a compromise in the end. It's more about like carrying different parties' interests and reach a certain balance and reach a certain compromise in the end. And the last thing, of course, I haven't mentioned, but you probably really want to know right now is what are data-driven decisions. So data-driven decisions, by its definition, means that every decision they make, they have to be backed by data. If the R&D, the research team wants to develop a certain product feature, they have to first go through the data center to ask for what is the quantifiable outcome if we go through this path versus if I go another path, right? Even a potentially very small decision, like should I send my newsletter in 8 p.m. or in 9 p.m., this kind of decision will go through a very serious experiment. For example, you may know about this A/B testing. What I observe is that the mindset always affects the actions. You are doing the things that you believe to be right. Some disclaimers. You are free to choose what you believe in, and some of them are not mutually exclusive. And I'm not asserting that one way is absolutely better than the other way. It's people dependent. It's based on your personal experience and your background. Nevertheless, I observe certain beliefs can help you make better decisions. So let me give you an example which hopefully can illustrate the situation better. So let's suppose you have cancer. Sorry, sorry for the example. If you believe in modern medicine, you will go to the hospital and do operation immediately. If you believe better in herbal medicine, in energy healing, and in mind-body practice that basically claim that you can cure the disease by certain natural exercise or by some healthy diet, you probably will go to the hospital a little bit later. This is just example. I'm not saying that I'm not. So sorry if my understanding is not accurate. But you see, if your goal is just to cure your cancer, then having a certain belief, basically, if you believe in modern medicine, will help you recover faster. Right? Well, but whether that's what you want, maybe is another question. So in business, this same ideology holds true. If your goal is just to achieve success financially and to increase the scale of your company or to grow, make it bigger, to have an impact, then certain belief will help you do this faster than other belief. And I believe this data-driven concept will really help you achieve this, will really help you to achieve these goals because they are more scientific and more practical. So at this point, I hope I can convince you to a certain level that data-driven decision is actually good for your own business. And I have anticipated some questions from your side, and basically I will go through the objection handling part to go through your potential question one by one. So the most common objection I face is the assumption that some people have talent, have the business talent, so that they can make better business decisions, and they create a word for that. It's called a business acumen. And the underlying belief is that if a person have this acumen, have this business sense, these people will make better decisions. It's just like something natural. It's like sports talents is basically come with your genetics. And when I face this kind of objection, then I always ask this follow-up question: do you consider yourself to have business sense or not? Well, the answer is quite interesting, to be honest. But I can tell you that if you consider yourself to have this business sense, you probably will be too complacent at the time, and you will ignore the importance of collecting the basic data that supports your decisions. If you consider yourself that you do not have a certain talent, that's even worse, right? Even if you make the right decision, you don't have the power to continue to execute, to make it happen. And also, what is even worse is that you think this is born, this is nature. This means that you will not practice this because how can you like increase your talent? Like talent is born, it's not studied, right? So you will actually not try to practice your skill because you think you are not good at it. You will try to avoid the pain of making decision. You will let somebody else to do the decision for you. So you see whether you have this business sense or not is really not that important because your feeling is not reliable. You should make your feeling work for your rationals, not the other way around. And the other objection I also face is that there is no fixed formula, there is no pattern for business success. A lot of things happen quite randomly. If you repeat this whole process step by step again, you will fail. But I wanted to point it out that people who learn this by copying a certain business pattern don't see the nature of the success. They just follow the path of what I call the monkey see, monkey do. So the market 10 years ago and the market now is significantly different, completely, if not at all completely two things. You cannot, there is a latency between a proven to work formula and the right now situation, which I showed you last video. There is latency, and the market reacts really fast, and the market change dynamically every day. So if you don't get the nature right, and you just base your hope on copying somebody else's path or somebody else's decisions, of course you're going to fail at a certain time because you are not the original person making the decision, right? You don't know the logic, so you only copy the conclusion. You don't see this derivation path, right? So this is like a formula. You don't see the arguments around this conclusion. You only use a conclusion because it's easy for you to do. And the next objection I sometimes face is that I don't have to make decisions because I really don't have any choices. What I want to comment on this is that to see all the options, you already need to collect data. You already need to connect information, either from networking, from market research, and from whatsoever. So when you said I don't have any options, let's suggest you have a single choice question, and you only see the option A. But in fact, there could be option B, C, and D. They are hidden from you because you haven't talked to anybody from that option yet, because you haven't seen anybody doing the option B, C, and D. So you never ever know that the option B, C, and D exists. So I can give an example. A lot of people associate studying abroad with high expenses because they are biased. A lot of people go through US, go through Canada and Australia, and they conclude that in order to go abroad, you have to prepare a lot of money to cover your living costs and your tuition fee. However, they do not collect enough data to realize that a lot of countries, their university in Europe, they are completely free for international students. They do not know the option exists. That's why they have not ever think about studying abroad. So what I said really, when I said data driven, it also includes collecting data as much as possible through your home network and through your own resources, so that you never limit yourself to only part of the options available. This is also called information gap. The next objection I sometimes face is that in my field, or with regard to my specific decision, there is no available data. When I said data driven, it could also mean that you try to quantify things. So I will try to illustrate this by analogy again. So look at the human resources. The hiring process is extremely not transparent. Sometimes people always ask, why do you hire another candidate instead of me? Right? So there is no data. There are scores, GPAs at schools to indicate a person's possibility of success. Even if two candidates have exactly the same GPAs, the standardized score, or the certificate or the skill level. Well, what could be improved in this process is that because indeed a lot of skills are not quantifiable, especially the soft skill. But we can have this quantifying mindset. What I mean is when you look at when you look at candidate A and you look at candidate B, you can compare them, right? You can say candidate A is better than candidate B due to candidate A has better communication skills. And then at the same time, you can see candidate B has better technical background. So your final decision is a collection of scores in different dimensions. If you hire candidate A, you know it was due to the communication skill. If you hire candidate B, you know it was due to the technical background, right? So you clearly know. In the end what is the reason that behind your decisions. So I give you this example, trying to persuade you that even if some data is not collectible, for example, some market size of a fresh new product, you try to achieve this quantifying mindset to quantify every aspect of the decision to support your decision making. And the next objection I sometimes face is I can outsource the decision making to a data department. So basically, I will come to my data department and said, should I launch at June or should I launch at July? Well, first of all, by using the word outsourcing, you already know my attitude. You should never ever outsource a decision making to a data department. You can ask for their support, you can ask for supporting data. The problematic thing about this is that the data department knows what to do, they knows what data to pull from the database, but they probably don't know the motivation, they don't know the business situation, they don't even know the background behind why you ask this question. So there are lots of things missing, and based on how much your data center know about the business world, the quality of data can be different. As a data analyst myself, I can visualize data in 100 different ways that deliver 100 different insights. So definitely try your best to deliver as much background, as much information of the business side of things as much possible to the data team. But still, I want you to be the final person in charge of decision making. And the next objection I see a lot of time, especially in among the tech workers, is that I would prefer more to work on concrete things like programming a feature or fixing a bug, comparing to making some decisions that I don't even know whether it's right or wrong, because making a decision and communicating a decision means a lot of meetings, and some tech people really don't like doing that. They like to work on concrete problems that are problem like 1 + 1 = 2 that have a solid answer, instead of question like should I go to path A or path B. Like there is no given answer for these kind of questions. I want to point out I want to point it out that after a certain phase in your career, your the criteria of how good your work is depends on how good the decision you make. Because when you are at a certain stage, you get paid not because of the concrete things you do, it's because of the strategic decision you make. There are fresh graduate every year. There are like technician in the field, but they probably don't earn as much as you do. Why do the company are willing to pay you a lot more than your colleges? It's because they rely on your expertise to make decisions. They pay you because of your responsibility to make a good decision. If a decision is made and the result is not good, they will not blame the executive that actually do the stuff. They will blame the decision maker. So try not to avoid decision making or let somebody else do the thing for you, because this is the most important KPI or your performance indicator in the end. The other objection I face is that the reason why I made these bad decisions is because I have a bad data center, or I blame solely on the data quality. First of all, data quality can be improved. If the data quality hasn't been improved that long, not because of external reason, it's because of internal reason. It's because your company doesn't put enough stress on your data collection. If the data quality is bad, then your company should start immediately a process to adjust it, not to wait and hope one day the data quality will be good. And second of all, like I said in the previous point, that the data analyst sometimes lack some business training. That also holds true for me myself. I will expand this part further in my later videos. The next objection I face sometimes is that collecting data means significant cost, and I prefer not to invest so much overhead. This is something I can relate to, but it is not necessarily true. A data collection can be as simple as a Google Sheet that your employees or your colleges have to fill in every day. This is the basic form of data collection. There are indeed a lot of fancy stuff like database, data lake, and this kind of concept. But I would say it again. The data is serving the data-driven decisions. So let me emphasize this again. The data collection process is serving the data decision-making process. And the decision-making process probably don't need you to record the transaction time up to seconds, right? So we're not making a data center for the purpose of making a data center. We make a data center to serve our business, to make more money, right? To expand and grow faster. This is the final goal. So if you're a startup, you can start by using Excel or using online Google Sheet. And as your company grows bigger and bigger, you can start to invest more on your data collection process and the tools and the personals. So it's not like because today I can only record 60% of the data, then I choose not to do it because I either achieve 100% or I do nothing. A common mindset I observe is that people think if I start to do something, I have to do 100%, right? If I just collect 60% of the data, then I would rather not start at all. This is the definition of perfectionism. But I will argue that collect as much data as your energy supports. And then when you really see the need, right? So when you start to make very complicated decisions and you definitely need more better data, then you can then you can go back and invest on your infrastructure. But if and only if that you really see a need of doing that. And the next objection I face is that my business success doesn't rely on decision making. Well, that could be true because you can just be successful based on luck, based on certain human connection. This is possible. But in your business, there are hundreds of decisions every day that a single person make. So data-driven decision making is really like bracing. You don't realize it, but it will come into play. And the last objection, hopefully I covered all of your question up to now, is that I'm a professional in the field. I don't need to be lectured about how to make decisions. I think data-driven is really cross-discipline concept. Even if you know your field already very well, by looking at your daily business model in a data-driven way, you can really realize some insights that you have ignored for such a long time. The advantage of me right now is that I have a fresh mindset. When I go to a new company or a new industry, I always ask the similar question and then I know something new, right? And I realize that having a second pair of eyes to look at your business situation in the data-driven way is beneficial and sometimes inspire new discussion. Thanks again for keep on watching up to this point. If you have a specific business problem that you think that my way of solving the problem really resonate with you, feel free to schedule a one-to-one call for me. And one more thing, please like and subscribe my channel to show your support so that I have the motivation to continue updating the series. See you next time.